In the midst of the changes and challenges of today's world, people often find themselves facing difficulties blending in, communicating effectively, and managing well. When unable to achieve these, anxiety can take hold. We all experience this mental state at different levels, often not knowing its source or how to overcome it. We worry not only about current issues, but also, and perhaps more troublingly, about the past, where we couldn't achieve certain things, and the future, where we might fail to reach certain goals. This is where the book Anxiety Free comes in, helping us handle anxiety in a healthy way to avoid falling into the depths of severe depression. It gives us the tools for psychological relief by transforming constant anxiety into an opportunity for integration and capturing moments of joy. Anxiety Free by Robert Leahy. It's inevitable for anyone not to experience bouts of anxiety while living in the midst of this complex reality. Anxiety has become not just a phenomenon, but one of the most dangerous issues humanity faces today. This feeling is not an isolated experience. A staggering 38% of people deal with daily anxiety, making it an inescapable routine. It's a harsh and frightening reality, one that demands reflection on its consequences and destructive outcomes. Therefore, understanding this anxiety is crucial. Perhaps the first step toward this understanding is realizing its causes. The majority of people worry because they fear being perceived as weak, afflicted with psychological fragility, or that their psychological makeup is a result of poor upbringing, placing individuals in the realm of fragility and loss of self-confidence. So, where does anxiety come from? Simply put, it comes from traumas, often occurring in childhood. Overly anxious parents who are excessively protective. Reversed parenting roles. Ignored emotions by parents. Insecure emotional attachments. Additionally, there are numerous types of anxiety due to life's worries, problems, and challenges. Some worry about work, fear of failure in social relationships, or due to overwhelming financial conditions, and so on. The sources of anxiety are diverse because in life we encounter countless situations that bring worry. Therefore, it's essential to identify and determine the pattern one belongs to. These patterns can be summarized as avoidant sensitive, expresses severe anxiety, fear of criticism, and overwhelming obsessions. Dependently devoted, clings to relationships and fears losing them. Negatively hostile, has a careless mental attitude towards things. Obsessive-compulsive, characterized by intense work and productivity. Selfish narcissistic, exhibits an inflated sense of self. Bit to remember: understanding anxiety gives us the opportunity to rid ourselves of its results and consequences, and identifying the anxiety pattern helps in overcoming it. Anxiety is not a single type or a specific form. It can be both productive and beneficial, as well as destructive to both physical and mental health. For example, a person's anxiety may lead them to fill their car with fuel before a long trip, or maintain a safe following distance to avoid accidents. In this aspect, anxiety provides us with the ability to reduce the risks we may face. Therefore, it is essential to differentiate between what is productive and useful anxiety and what is destructive and unhealthy. Learning to deal with anxiety in the right way involves 3 significant steps that help you distinguish between the 2 levels. 1. Differentiate between productive and unproductive anxiety. 2. Handle unproductive anxiety without relying on it. 3. Utilize productive anxiety and transform it into a tool for solving problems as quickly as possible. Moreover, when chronic anxiety dominates a person, they may believe that constant worry protects them or keeps them safe from risks, especially if they fail to differentiate between productive and unproductive anxiety. This psychological state involves constant worry about things encountered or future possibilities without knowing how to escape this overwhelming mental whirlpool. To cope with persistent anxiety, it's essential to 1. Deal with things exactly as they are, not as you imagine them. 2. Identify and appreciate the things you value precisely. 3. Accept reality as it is. 4. Recognize that anxiety is just thoughts you create about things. Bit to remember, we must distinguish between productive and destructive anxiety. Anxiety is simply your thoughts about things, and thus, changing these thoughts becomes crucial. A person suffering from chronic anxiety needs challenges to lift them out of the dreadful psychological state they face daily. This challenge is not solely related to physical exertion, as many may think, but to challenging the thoughts that produce this anxiety. The latter is a result of a thinking pattern that produces this entirely unbalanced human behavior. To break free from this tunnel, one must challenge anxiety-infused thinking by relying on the following steps. 1. Observe the instances of anxiety affecting you. 2. Record your anxiety and pinpoint its sources. 3. Allocate a specific time for worrying. 4. Recognize the distractions in your thinking. When you identify the pattern of anxiety you belong to, all things become more manageable, allowing you to deal with them in a more effective and positive manner. Understanding the anxiety pattern is methodologically essential to identify the causes of anxiety, awaiting an effective means to overcome it. The necessity of this identification and definition lies here. Anxiety is ultimately a behavior resulting from thoughts generated or imposed by social or familial coercion. Hence, it's crucial to handle it better, breaking free from the limits of anxiety addiction. Thoughts are not an immutable fate. Quite the opposite, beliefs and thoughts become entrenched when they are not subjected to criticism and a desire for change. To overcome the deeper threat that our thoughts and perception patterns place us in, we must change this negative outlook. Look at situations and things from a fundamentally positive perspective. If you see yourself lacking in something, believe and think that you excel in it. If you feel inferior towards others, imagine that their opinions do not bind you in any way. This way, you can free yourself from their grip, authority, and control over your psyche. Bit to remember: getting rid of anxiety begins with challenging the thoughts that produce it, and positive thinking rescues from the clutches of chronic anxiety. In today's fast-paced world, everything seems to be accelerating due to the dominating force of technology and social media, making the sense of time almost non-existent. We all share this daily struggle, primarily stemming from the compressed nature of contemporary life with its various challenges and pressures. The danger of this feeling lies in its ability to generate an infinite number of sensations of anxiety and sadness, even though time is inherently connected to our current and future actions. You might say that time is not enough for you, but don't forget that a batch of tasks programmed at once is the root cause of this feeling. There is significant, self-imposed pressure that leads to the sense of anxiety and sadness. Therefore, controlling time and making it under your command involves following these steps. 1. Eliminate the element of urgency. 2. Embrace temporality. 3. Value each moment for its worth. 4. Live in the moment. 5. Extend time. 6. Set plans for time. Moreover, anxious individuals fear any positive idea as a challenging ordeal or an attempt that will undoubtedly result in complete failure. These are psychological transformations that an anxious person goes through without knowing their source or understanding their danger to their fragile psychological makeup. Therefore, individuals of this kind deal sensitively with advice, often not responding to any idea aimed at pulling them out of the constant quagmire of anxiety. The most dangerous situation occurs when the idea becomes a source of producing inverted happiness, emitting happiness through self-torture, self-flagellation, and feeling worthlessness and marginalization. Ineffective methods in dealing with anxiety include 1. Seeking reassurance from others. 2. Trying to stop the flow of your thoughts. 3. Avoiding challenges. 4. Numbing emotions through drug use. 5. Over-preparing. 6. Engaging in safety behaviors. 7. Seeking perfect impressions. 8. Pursuing certainty. Bit to remember: controlling time is one of the ways to manage anxiety, and seeking faulty behaviors does not contribute to overcoming anxiety effectively.